Well, 4 to go. Remember, this is my opinion. It's correct. Your opinion's your opinion. Your opinion is also correct. That's how opinions work. None of us are wrong. Please be gentle as I go towards my top 3, but just missing out on that heavenly triad of joy is my 4th place favourite Doctor, the First Doctor. 4th place? The First Doctor, as played by William Hartnell, and only William Hartnell, right, Hartnell, is very close to my heart. Because when I started to earn money in a job and buy the Doctor Who DVDs, go back and start to fill gaps, because I think I only had about 3 or 4 at that point, I instantly bought the beginning, the box set, which contains the stories now referred to as An Unearthly Child, The Daleks, and Edge of Destruction. And I enjoy him so much because he's very different from the other Doctors, despite being the one who laid the groundwork. It's interesting to see that not many Doctors since have copied traits from William Hartnell, and it's an odd thought because he's the starter pack. He would be the foundation of which for you to base your performance on. The only Doctors I can think of that kind of take from him a bit, sometimes Peter Davison feels like a younger, less strict version of the First Doctor. The 6th Doctor certainly takes some traits from the First Doctor, and the 12th Doctor has been a bit like the First Doctor, mostly in his first season. Hartnell's Doctor transitions through his personality. He changes over the course of his 3 years in the show in a way that isn't jarring, like, say, the 12th Doctor or the 6th to some degree. He starts off harsh and nasty and strict. And the more time he spends with Ian and Barbara, and him and Susan, like, the 4 of them get together and go on adventures, trying to get Ian and Barbara back to modern-day London, modern 1963-day London. The more time he spends with them, the more he softens, and the more he starts to see the wonders of the universe through their eyes. By the end of his run, he's a lot more mischievous. Yes, he still will fight back and scold people who do wrong and you know, inconvenience him. But the First Doctor becomes a lot more of the kindly grandfather. The twinkle in his eye appears toward the end of his run. And it's so much fun to watch. To watch him transition over those 3 years is just, it's a joy. And William Hartnell was clearly very grateful for the chance to play something, once he got his teeth stuck into it, to play something aimed at kids, because he'd been mostly like mobsters and drill sergeants in films and television shows up to that point. He was always a harsh character, and here he got to play a harsh character with a heart of gold, who would slowly become more likeable. His stories are simple and excellent. They're based on scientific theories, or historical settings, because back then, of course, when the show first started, it was either pure historicals, so kids would learn about the past, or future stories that would focus on a particular science theory or science technique, so they could learn about science. So you're either learning history, or physics, chemistry, biology. Highlights for me include the Romans. I have a lot of fun with the Romans. The War Machines is a bit long, but you know, you get a lot out of it, and also get the weirdest exit for a companion ever. Where's Dodo? Oh, she's just not here anymore. Alright, okay. The Time Meddler is a lot of fun. It's the first time we meet another Time Lord with the meddling monk, which is brilliant because you don't really know what Time Lords are at this point. You just know he's from the same species as the Doctor. And the Doctor is like, whoa! You're meddling with time on purpose. And it's like, haven't you been doing that for the last, like, 2 years? And it's like, yes, but not with evil intent. All right, fair enough. Time Meddler is another highlight for me. But the one episode I would point out, if you want to see more First Doctor and you want to see why I love him, it's the first episode of An Unearthly Child, the very first episode of the show. Simply because it's the perfect pilot. Now, it's aged a bit, it's aged a lot, but it's the perfect pilot episode because it draws you into the premise. Rose took its cues from An Unearthly Child a lot in that it was about an outside force, an outside presence, in that case Rose, in this case Ian and Barbara, slowly discovering the fantastical stuff that was going on right underneath their noses. And the First Doctor's only in it for about sort of 10 minutes. And he makes an impact because he's this scary old man who's got this weird, mysterious box in a junkyard that's much bigger on the inside than it is on the out. And what on earth is going on? What, your granddaughter's panicking now that we've found you. What do you mean you're going to take us away? What do you mean we can't tell anyone? What the hell? It's shaking, it's making noise, what's happening? And the final shot of the episode, the TARDIS arriving in the middle of a deserted land, and you just see the shadow of a caveman fall on the sands, and you're like, oh, it's brilliant. And it sets up the story so well. Hartnell is a joy to watch. Bless him, because obviously he was combating a lot of health issues toward the end of his run. He does tend to slip up on lines occasionally, because they couldn't go back and edit. In those days, a lot of the time they had to just keep shooting. They had to just keep filming, because cost reasons, it was more difficult to pick up at certain moments. The studio was closing at a set time later that night, and they had to finish by then. If they didn't finish by then and it hit the weekend, then they couldn't film it again on Monday, so they had to keep going. So a lot of the time, actors, toward the end of his run especially, have to perform cartwheels of improv to save the scene. But if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have the show we have now. And working in tandem with what came next with Patrick Troughton, it goes to show how the different versions of the Doctor bring such a unique quality to Doctor Who as a whole, as a programme. These guys played it very differently, and yet it still feels like the same show, and you stick with it. So without Hartnell, we don't get Troughton. Without Troughton, we don't get the rest. But I've got to give Hartnell the credit. I enjoy his stories more. There's more of them to watch. So, by Jingo! William Hartnell is my 4th position. What's your favourite First Doctor story? Where would you place him on your rankings? And most importantly, what is your favourite accidental mispronunciation of Chesterton? Let me know down below in the comments, and I will see you tomorrow as we venture into the top 3. Omega, help me.